hot for TV.
Welcome back to episode 3, the holy trinity of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. I'm Dylan.
I'm Jack.
And we're here to talk about the Doctor Who Extended Universe. And this time we've got 2 rather special releases for you. But first of all, we're still here, stuck in lockdown. How's it going?
The best thing about lockdown is the Doctor Who quiz.
The quiz of Rassilon, which happens every fortnight.
It's been a real privilege to peek into hundreds of fans' bedrooms and living rooms and kitchens. It's such a good insight.
It is, and it's surprising how many of you don't make the effort when you know you're going to be in front of lots of people. It's very interesting, isn't it?
We've seen just people eating, people's wives who obviously aren't interested in the quiz, but they're still on camera.
There was one guy in the last quiz who I'm pretty sure died halfway through. And if the apocalypse is still going on when this podcast comes out, then maybe you want to join it too. That's the quiz of Rassilon. Obviously, there's not a lot going on in the world of Doctor Who because the world's come to an end. They did announce something that's right up this podcast street just only yesterday, a thing called Time Lord Victorious, which features 3 incarnations of the Doctor, although you'll probably only hear one of them, and it'll be the cheap one. It features the 8th, 9th and 10th Doctor.
Who's the cheap Doctor?
The cheap Doctor, Paul McGann.
Oh.
David Tennant's expensive,
Yeah. Just
to book for anything, right? Yeah. Paul McGann shows up to anything these days, and Christopher Eccleston is in a mood somewhere. They're doing let's do the Time War again.
Oh, I don't know what to think about that.
No, I don't either. And whoever's put it together, that's what an amazing feat to tell a story over all these platforms. But also, who's got time to read and listen to 15 adventures in different things? One of them's the escape room.
What do you mean? That's That's part of the plot.
Yeah, so you've got to go to an escape room, apparently.
I'll just re-release the Doctor Who pinball machine and just put David Tennant's face on that.
I mean, that would be ideal, but unfortunately, we've got to go through this rigmarole of David Tennant as Rassilon or whatever it is. It's
Well, that's a good idea. Is that what if you release tie-in fiction that tells the story of the Time War, but it's just like the pinball machine. And it'd be like, yeah, we've plotted out the whole Time War, but it's told through the medium of an arcade machine.
I mean, that's basically what the Day of the Doctor plot was, wasn't it? After years of setting up a mysterious Time War, it was just a few things pinging around a planet until the planet disappeared and everything else got destroyed.
Yeah. How did the Time War end? They blew each other up.
Who would have thought it? Anyway... So, the first release we're going to do today is Auton from BBV, which stands for Bill Baggs Videos. Now, if you listen to the previous episode, if you want to know the full history on this, then luckily some really handsome and intelligent guy wrote a book about it called Downtime, The Lost Years of Doctor Who, which is available from Obverse Books by a guy called Dylan Rees. You should check it out. It's very informative.
Never heard of him.
No, me neither. So let's just set the scene a little bit. Auton was released in October 1997 when Tom Baker was pushing his first autobiography and was very much back in fandom doing conventions and signings after not really doing anything since he left the show. The E-Space trilogy was out on video finally, so everybody could get 3 full stories of Adric action. BBC Books released War of the Daleks by John Peel, not that one, with the 8th Doctor and Sam, and A Legal Alien by Mike Tucker and Robert Perry. I've actually read both of those.
Well done, you.
Thanks.
I'm very proud of you.
Thanks very much. I finished 2 books. I was about 14 at the time. I think I read them when they came out. I remember War of the Daleks being the sort of canon fucking sort of shit that...
I remember it not being on the syllabus of what you should have been reading at the time.
True. And A Legal Alien being very good, and it was a 7th Doctor story with Ace that he was pitched to like season 27, 28, one of the ones that never happened, with the Cybermen. The New Adventures was called Deadfall by Gary Russell, and they just released License Denied, which was a compilation of fanzine material.
Oh, I'm shivering. I remember that.
And BBC Books released A Book of Monsters, plus the Doctor Who Book of Lists. Do you know anything about the Doctor Who Book of Lists? Because I've got a copy right here.
Oh, wow.
And it does exactly what it says on the tin. So this list, for instance, is called Ham-Fisted Bun Vendors, and it's people who have played Joe Grant. And there's 5 people on the list. There's Katie Manning, there's Mildred Brown, there's Stuart Fell, an unnamed sailor, and Linda Reagan. So those are all the people that doubled for her. You didn't need to know that,
No.
but now you know.
Doctor Who fans love lists.
They do.
I mean, their shopping lists must be incredible.
Yeah, and there's a clear case of mistaken identity of the amount of times the Doctor has been mistaken for someone else, and you would think it's loads, but it's 10.
Yeah.
But the best list, don't worry, I'm not reading the whole book. The best list is no smoke without fire, the use of tobacco in Doctor Who.
Paid for by the tobacco company that helped fund this publication.
It's a page and a half.
Wow.
A page and a half. But there you go. I mean, this is a great book, and I spent 30 to 40 seconds flicking through it when I realised that I had a copy of it in a drawer. I'll probably be going to a charity shop as soon as this is all over. Also out that month, the greatest Doctor Who adventure of all time, Destiny of the Doctors.
Ooh, I remember that.
Destiny of the Doctors, one of the most difficult computer games of all time. Not because it was hard, the actual concept of the thing, just because it was a terrible computer game. But you did get all the Doctors voicing themselves, and you got those amazing things of Anthony Ainley just being fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I lived for it. I played it so much.
I used to have nightmares that I was trapped in the game.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a really difficult game, but with an ongoing sense of dread. Mainly because you were running around the TARDIS and you were being, there were monsters there, so it was a safe place that was under threat. And I would regularly dream that I was trapped in that really pixelated hellscape.
Do you still get those nightmares?
Well, under COVID, the dreams were even more vivid. I mean, the determinant.
I liked that the monsters were characteristically slow. Like, they didn't speed them up, they just lumbered at you, but they always caught up with you. What was the name of the thing? Gask, Grask, Gary.
Grask.
Who knows? Anyway.
Grok.
Fucking Grok. A bit more news from the time about the stars of Doctor Who. Sophie Aldred married a Sky TV presenter to the size of 1,000 wanking fanboys. For some reason, DWM printed this next bit of news. Nicola Bryant's agent was in talks for her to star in a Michael Winner film. That was it. That was all that was in the thing. So I did a bit of digging, and by digging I mean I went on Google, which turned out to be a film called Parting Shots that also stars Oliver Reed, Diana Rigg, Joanna Lumley, Gareth Hunt, Peter Davison, and many others.
That sounds like the fag end of a decade in one film.
All the has-beens of the 80s and 70s are falling into the 90s. And then there's this very interesting bit of news. Meglos writers John Flanagan and Andrew McCulloch were developing a screenplay for a remake of Kind Hearts and Coronets with Robin Williams pitched to star, called Divorced White Male, which actually abbreviates to DWM and was also the magazine's core audience at the time. Now, needless to say, bit of Googling, the only film I could find of this name came out in 1998, so it's possibly the same one, and it is even abbreviated to DWM on the front cover. There was no Robin Williams. It looked like it cost about £4, and there were no writing credits on it at all, but it was starred and directed by someone called Lou Volpe, and it looks terrible. But what a busy month October 1997 was. So, as I said, we are doing Auton. I'll give you a little rundown of the plot of Auton. Dr. Sally Arnold is working on a Nestine sphere in a unit facility called imaginatively The Warehouse. It releases some energy that kills her assistant, and promptly the sphere disappears. The warehouse is put in lockdown, very apt. A containment team led by Lockwood is called in. The Nestines have taken over Winslet, an employee of the warehouse, and they are soon unleashing several Autons that were stored in the warehouse, but they are neatly dispatched using the device the Doctor made for Spearhead from space. Winslet liquefies and escapes, setting things up for the greatest film trilogy of all time. So yeah, Auton, which was written and visually directed by Nicholas Briggs. So how did you feel about kind of the look, the general look and the general direction?
It looks like the Demon Headmaster.
That's not a terrible thing.
So yeah, so it looks like a low budget 90s TV show.
Yeah. The fact it was shot on videotape and I think it was made for about £10,000, all of which kind of shows. But I mean, we were watching a VHS copy essentially. That it was my VHS copy that I recorded onto a hard drive years ago. It's the lowest grade you could possibly see it. Not that I imagine if you could get the Blu-ray, you would be like, my God, this looks amazing. The transfers, the restoration they've done. I was actually surprised by how much I enjoyed it.
Me too.
It is the most B-movie thing in the world. It's like The Thing made in Bristol or something like that. But I feel like Nicholas Briggs has a little bit of directing flair. The opening shots, like the establishers, are great. There's just some really interesting shots that you don't normally see in these kind of videos, and he manages to build up a fair amount of tension.
There's a good pace to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even shots where it doesn't work, like there's an Auton hand bursting out of a crate at the start. You can kind of go, I see what they were going for there, but it looks terrible.
Yeah.
But then there are also more stagey scenes, like where Lockwood is interviewing Winlet, and he's putting his clothes back on. And I know that sounds weird, but it feels like the story world's been thought about a bit more.
Yeah.
Even though they do shoot the whole thing in a wide shot, which is a big no-no. And that usually means they ran out of time, because usually if you're shooting single camera, you do the wide and then you get all the close-ups, but they obviously didn't have time for the close-ups. There's other shaky bits, like there's a flashback to Sally Arnold's companion being killed, which is like slow motion, but not slow motion. It just looks really jerky. And then there's the Auton jam.
Auton jam. I mean, we're all making Auton jam at the moment under lockdown, aren't we?
The Auton jam is the worst effect, I think, in the thing. I mean, there aren't that many effects, but it's just they do this thing where the Auton sphere melts.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be, I guess, in the script, they were thinking Terminator 2.
Yes.
But
sweeter.
Yeah. But it doesn't quite work. It's just some jam being rolled down a thing. But I think the production design's quite good. Dr. Arnold has a room in the facility, and it actually looks lived in. Usually in these things, it's just like, well, there's a room with a bed in, and this is the bedroom. But it also made me think, why the fuck does she live there? It's not like they go to any lengths to sell this as isolated. It's quite clearly in Southampton somewhere or something like that.
Maybe that's the actress's actual room.
It could possibly be. You know, there's some nice stuff about the general look, I think. The cast, it was originally written for Nick Courtney as the Brigadier. I mean, it was going to be a sequel to Downtime because it was going to be made by Keith Barnfather, but he couldn't afford to make it. But it prompted a rewrite like a week or two before shooting, and they basically created these new characters, casting a bunch of unknowns who are mainly people Nick Briggs had worked with on stage. So as Lockwood, you've got Michael Wade. How do you feel about Michael Wade?
I think you could put him playing that character straight into the thick of it, and you wouldn't notice the difference, which is a good thing, barring his telepathic abilities, which might look a bit out of place.
Yeah.
But he is a properly good, privately educated kind of Tory toff figure.
Yeah, I think he's really great. I mean, he's sort of like an Auton Derren Brown. He's just he kind of comes in, he knows exactly what's going on, and he goes, well, everything you think is wrong, and also I can access Unit's main computer system in my head.
Yes.
And I think he's great, and by the end of it, you're really kind of sold on him as a lead.
Well, he's good in that he's definitely not the Doctor, and yet he can still function as a lead. You want to see the character explore other adventures.
Well, what Nick Briggs said at the time was he was really looking for somebody. He wanted to create a character that was sort of part the Doctor and part the Brigadier, but also who could be a bit more of a cunt. You can't get Nick Courtney in to play the Brigadier and turn him into an arsehole.
So they had a blackboard and they wrote Doctor plus Brig plus cunt. And they were just like, think of names.
And Lockwood is where he got it. I know he got the name. I think he literally looked up on a book and went, oh, that author's called Lockwood. And that's where he got the name. Gems like this you get in my book, Downtime, The Lost Years of Doctor Who.
What a book.
What a book. We've also got Dr. Sally Arnold, played by Bryony Pritchard. Any thoughts on her?
Do you know what they're probably trying to get with that character and her casting?
What?
I think they're trying to get Caroline Quentin.
Right.
But it's not Caroline Quentin. I think that figure, Caroline Quentin in Jonathan Creek, is kind of the figure they were going for.
Right, okay.
And they got a cheaper version of that.
They did get a cheaper version, but it may surprise you to know that apart from one exception, she's got the busiest CV out of all of them, in that she's done Doctors, EastEnders, Nighty Night, Casualty, Fist of Fun, Prime Suspect. She's been in all the major BBC dramas of the 90s and noughties that often go through a lot of actors because they're on all the time.
Yeah, good for her. I mean, I didn't dislike her. It wasn't just like, wow, that this is a... Because she is the joint lead as well. But with her, I wasn't so much like, yeah, I want to see you again as that character.
If you're on a Hinge date, would you have only gone on that one date?
Yes, 2 metres apart.
Then you've got George Telfer, who plays Winslet, who's the guy who gets taken over by the Autons. I quite like him. I think he does a good kind of possessed Doctor Who acting.
Oh yeah, no, he feels like he's come out of Doctor Who.
And he does this thing where the Auton him picks up the humming but gets it wrong.
Yes.
And so he's just going around going, which is... could have been a misfire, but I think it's actually quite creepy. Yeah. I don't know, but I enjoyed it.
No, he's creepy.
He's a creepy guy. He's got no major credits. Now, perhaps the most surprising addition to this cast, and most surprising in that he's a bit shit, is Rhys Shearsmith from the League of Gentlemen. So Rhys had been in a couple of BBV plays before, written by Mark Gatiss, so it kind of makes sense that he got him in. And it feels like the League of Gentlemen were probably about to take off, and he'd got roped into doing this one last shitty Doctor Who spin-off.
I hope that his fee for this helped to pay for the Edinburgh slot that boosted the League of Gentlemen into stardom.
I don't imagine he made a lot of money out of it.
Yeah, but if it afforded him to get the train to Edinburgh...
I was... Considering that he is like a star now, I was surprised at kind of how lackluster his performance was. But then he's just completely miscast.
Yeah, I think it's also as well that we mainly only know him from things that he has helped to write as well. And it isn't a great part in terms of how it's written. Like it would be hard to do it that well. He doesn't get a single line of good dialogue. Really. He doesn't have a personality on the page.
No, that's very true. It's almost like it's written as like a hard man, sort of characterless sort of henchman, but you've got somebody who's a bit northern and a bit camp, so just scrambling around for nothing.
But the way that he dresses in that kind of nerdy 90s look is really fashionable now.
Yeah. Do you know what? There's a lot of very baggy 90s suits in this, which I put on my notes. I was like, baggy 90s suits, and you could sell those. A lot of people would wear the jackets and then perhaps mix them with something cooler, like some basketball shorts. They've kind of gone as well for this slightly X-Files Outer Limits aesthetic, because it's the 90s, and that was still a thing. Especially in the music, it's got that plinky-plonky music.
Aliens. Piano.
I quite like the music. I was sort of sold on it.
The 90s really loved pianos.
They did.
Even in the TV movie theme, they put a little jingly jazzy piano in there. And for this, it's pianos.
They were big. Well, they were only invented in 1991.
Elton John, Candle in the Wind, piano. 90s, piano.
Didn't he make that in the past, though? Wasn't it a re-release?
I can't specialise in every topic.
Sorry. The Autons.
Are they in it?
They are. They show up 20 minutes before the end, and that's when this really starts to go downhill for me.
Yes. The main thing that I would say is that all of the Autons look like they're whistling. the way that the mask is cast, they've got very kind of pursed lips. So every time they come towards you, it looks like they're going like...
I don't know who they took the cast off, but they all look like Barnaby Edwards.
They do. After I watched this, because I thought they don't actually feel or look that threatening, I went back and watched a few clips from the Spearhead from Space just to verify it. And even though they're monsters from a kids show, but even just the general cast is scarier because it's just a bit shinier and a bit more gloopy and a bit more rough around the edges that makes it sinister. Whereas these are obviously helmets that the actors are wearing.
I don't think the Autons have ever been better than Spearhead from Space ones. I quite like the terror of the Autons when they are wearing those daffodil men masks.
Yes,
There's something very creepy about that. The Rose ones are shot quite badly. And then in this, they just look, like you say, they look like people in costumes. And even though the ones in the 70s were people in costumes, it still doesn't quite.
But the build up to them, knowing that you're watching this because you know what the Autons are, the build up to them is really, really well done. It's just a shame that they're not as effective once they're out of the box.
And the chase sequence, even though they're clearly working with a limited space where they're being chased around by the Autons, is actually quite good. And then you get this quite nice shot of just all the dead soldiers around the warehouse, and you think, oh, that's quite good. I wish these guys looked better. But then ultimately, they're dispatched by a prop that was pulled straight from Spearhead from Space. It's like he got to write in the script, and he goes, well, how are we going to get rid of them? He goes, oh, there's a box over there, and it's got the exact thing that kills all the Autons in Spearhead from Space.
Well, I totally forgot about how reliant it was on the original story. The only things that I would do to improve it would be get a bigger warehouse, because again, it's just that thing of it's the perfect. It's a really good atmospheric location, but it's just not. They're obviously just running in circles around cardboard boxes.
Yeah,
and the other thing is just, when you realise that it is just a Doctor Who story, but without the Doctor, it's like, don't have the characters swearing. The swearing is so needless in terms of it's the fucking Autons. Or, shit, we're gonna die. And it just, because ultimately it is just some guys in masks running around a set like a Doctor Who story. Wow. It's fine with that, but you don't turn it into a 15. It doesn't make it any more adult. It's like, even if the Brigadier was in it, he wouldn't storm in there going, right, just fucking kill the bastards.
Well, I mean, Bill Baggs was all about making gritty, serious drama.
It's the nesting fucking consciousness. Shit!
That is very true. I have a little story to tell about this, and that when it came out on video, I must have been about 14. Yeah, about 13, 14. I went to buy it from whatever shop it was, and I was with my other friends who didn't really like Doctor Who. And then we ran into some girls that we knew. And it's, obviously very pretty girls, I imagine. I mean, this was Hales Owen, so they probably look like they've been punched in the face. And they were like, oh, what have you bought? I was like, oh, nothing, it's just a video thing. And they looked at it, and I remember seeing one of them look at this cover of this fucking Auton and just looking at her mates, and then they all pissed themselves laughing.
Oh, God.
Is that what you wanted to do to me, Nick Briggs? To 13-year-old Dylan?
Of course, now that piece of merchandise would be a proper pussy magnet.
I actually carry it with me all the time, and I just drop it on the table, and I'm like, so have you seen this?
My Hinge pictures are just the covers to all 3 videos, and boy, do the babes love it.
Do you know, we've been in this apocalypse, and I've been on Hinge quite a lot.
Yes.
Because I've got nothing else to do. I've seen 2 different women with a Dalek Sec voice changer helmet on in their pictures.
Maybe they need a mask, but the only thing they can get is that in terms to ward off the bacteria.
I'd never thought of it like that. I just assumed they were both the loves of my life who didn't match with me. I think that kind of wraps it up for Auton. It flies through the action very quickly, and as a result, there isn't a huge amount to say about it. So I guess the ultimate question, is it damn swank or fan wank?
This is quite hard. I think they put too much effort into it for me to dismiss it as fan wank.
Really?
but it isn't great.
No, you're right. Well, I'll be honest with you. As much as I like it, I'm going fan wank because it relies a lot on your foreknowledge of the spearhead from space.
I don't want anyone relying on my foreknowledge. All right, fan wank.
Fan wank. Well, there you go. That's Auton from BBV, available on DVD, probably.
Too hot for TV.
Next up, we've got a Benny adventure called The End of the World. Now, I don't know a lot about this, so I'm just going to set the scene and then I'm going to hand it over to Jack, who knows this quite well. This was released in September 2007. Utopia, Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords had just been broadcast. Block 2 of Series 4 had just started filming, with Catherine Tate as the new companion, and it was announced that Bernard Cribbins would be in The Voyage of the Damned. Torchwood Series 2 was filming with episodes 7 and 8 by Joe Lidster and Matt Jones. Sarah Jane Series 1 had just finished recording. IDW had just been announced as publishing some Doctor Who comics, and some classics were coming out on DVD, including Time Warrior, Time Flight, and Arc of Infinity, while Big Finish were releasing The Wishing Beast and The Vanity Box. So this was released at a time where Doctor Who was about to become the biggest thing. Well, it was starting to become the biggest thing on television. And most of the things we've covered before have all been about the 80s when it was perhaps less popular, or what they call the wilderness years, which I fucking hate. But yeah, so this is when Doctor Who was popular. So I guess before we go into it, was there a need for this sort of stuff in 2007?
Probably not. I think I'd got drawn into them because they had lots of recurring Doctor Who monsters and characters in the main range.
Right.
That had kind of got me interested in what was happening. And I was aware of a big buzz from the people that did follow them. Fans were really enthusiastic about how the quality had really become a lot more consistent.
Right.
But there was maybe 20 of us buying these at the time.
I mean, this is the sort of range you kind of expect not to survive. And it's a testament to, I guess, the writers and the production staff and the care that's been put in them. And, of course, Lisa Bauman herself, that this, in one form or another, Benny is still going. How many years later?
When were the Virgin New Adventures?
So she would have been introduced about 94, something like that.
94, and she still has audio adventures released by Big Finish now.
Yeah.
So over 20 years.
That's an amazing amount of time for quite a niche spin-off character. Lockwood hasn't got his own audio adventures now.
So she's only a bit older than... No, she's only a bit younger than me.
Yeah.
As an entity.
As an entity, but not quite as a character. So why don't you hit me with the plot of this thing?
The End of the World by Dave Stone. After suspecting for a long time that events and people around him are being manipulated by the Time Lord Braxiatel, Jason Kane goes on a mission to discover the truth as to whether his life has been altered off course. Jason and old friend Myra, a telepath, take a trip into Fractured Time, a dimension that resembles hell, to meet up with his former boss, the demon Azagrazar. He helps them locate coordinates of pockets of time that have been deleted from Jason's time stream. Myra uses her telepathic abilities to help Jason project into these deleted pockets of time, one of which includes Jason telling Bernice about his childhood, in which he describes how his father would violently abuse both young Jason and his little sister Lucy. Jason realises that he has forgotten to ever go back and help his younger sister. He uses the technology to go back in time and put measures in place to protect Lucy after his younger self ran away from home. With all of the data and deleted and altered bits of time retrieved, Jason returns to the Braxiatel collection and confronts the Time Lord. Jason warns Braxiatel that he will tell Benny that what he has been up to, and so Braxiatel hypnotises Bernice's half-Caloran son Peter to kill Jason by tearing him apart.
It's a layered little play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I know very little about this range. I've dipped in every now and then, but I largely found them unmemorable. Enjoyable, but unmemorable. So I had to give this one a couple of listens.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on.
It's the hardest audio that I could have set someone not familiar with the range, because it's like a Doctor Light story, but it's a Benny Light story.
Yeah.
So it's an adventure led by Bernice's ex-husband, but they got back together again.
Right.
So ex-husband, now boyfriend.
So he's not dead then?
He is dead. Never appears in it again.
Oh, he never appears again?
Yeah, this was the final story for the character Jason Kane. So he was first introduced in the Virgin New Adventure book called Death and Diplomacy, written by Dave Stone. So he introduced the character in the Virgin books, and he writes his final story for Big Finish.
Right.
So they were married together in Paul Cornell's novel Happy Endings.
I remember the cover.
They became divorced in the Virgin New Adventure novel titled Eternity Weeps.
I remember the cover.
And then Jason Kane was reintroduced to Big Finish and played by the actor Stephen Fool, who made his first appearance in the play Beyond the Sun, which is part of the first series of Bernice audios that Big Finish ever made as a company.
They were based on the books, right?
So they were adaptations of Virgin New Adventure books and just the general New Adventure books that Benny were in, without any Doctors, and amalgamated together.
There's loads of cool ideas in it. Well, but one of the things that struck me is quite how similar it was to continuity errors that we covered on the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
In that it is all about somebody fucking with somebody's life, like altering it in different ways. And this is, obviously the last one was a short story. This is a full-blown, like, hour and 10 minutes or whatever it is. So there's a lot more packed in. But it was very similar. And actually, because I didn't know anything about this, part of me was like, I knew Braxiatel was involved. But I was like, is he talking about the Doctor or is he talking about Braxiatel?
Well, the strange thing about it is that it never explicitly uses the word Time Lord or TARDIS. I don't know whether that was a rights issue, because Braxiatel refers to his ship, never a TARDIS, and they refer to a race of people lording it over time.
Right.
So they sound like clever get-arounds the fact that they perhaps weren't allowed to use
the rights to those characters.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. But obviously, in this time period, you do get them using various monsters from Doctor Who, like they do Cybermen, don't they? And they do Sea Devils. Or was that before the series had come back?
I can't remember the timing of that. Bernice as a range got a lot of interest from me when they had a whole season where they had, like, the Monoids and the Daleks and the Cybermen.
Braxiatel's an interesting character, isn't he? Especially one that was mentioned in this. This is like a throwaway line in The City of Death.
Yeah.
In classic fan style, it's just been turned into a huge character, played by Miles Richardson, who first appeared as Colonel Cavendish in Downtime, and played a couple of Draconians in some real-time things as well. He's just got quite an authoritative voice, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's still playing Braxiatel to this day in the Gallifrey.
Yeah, I do pop into the Gallifrey series, and he's about. There's a lot of really interesting ideas. I mean, from the sort of, I liked how it's kind of talks a lot about like liberal agenda and white middle class privilege and things like that. And
but before this was even a big topical issue.
The gentrification of the Mim Blockade.
Yes,
which is just like, I mean, yeah, like you say, it wasn't a thing, but here we are 10 years later listening to this thing, and it kind of feels like it could have been written today. I mean, not quite today because there's a global pandemic.
Yeah.
But last year.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about this Demon Zone. Was it ever mentioned before?
It was featured in the books, but I never read the books in which it appeared.
Yeah.
Because it occupies this really kind of comic book world. And the author, Dave Stone, used to write for Judge Dredd magazine in 2000 AD.
Yeah.
So he did a lot of writing for comics, and you can kind of tell that here, where it's a big sci-fi universe with, you know, demons and hellscapes and planets and aliens, and it's just anything you can imagine is just kind of crammed in there. Yeah. And he used to write for Judge Dredd along with David Bishop, who wrote Full Fathom 5.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
It's a small universe.
Yeah, it is.
The thing about plot devices that pop up in it that have featured previously in the range is that Bernice is quite unique in that there was a point at which Big Finish were producing both the audios and the books.
Right.
And they reached a point where important plot points were happening in the books. And then to fans that only listened to the audios, they were like, what the fuck's going on? Right. So they reached a point where in the book The Squire's Crystal by Jacqueline Rayner, Bernice is possessed by an alien entity and has sex with Adrian Wall, the Kaloran. In another book, The Infernal Nexus by Dave Stone, in which Jason is in this kind of hellscape zone, she announces that she's pregnant. Again, this is another book. And then it isn't until the next Big Finish audio called The Sky Mines of Karthos that it ends with her feeling her baby kick inside of her. And so fans that have only listened to the audios are like, how the hell did Benny get pregnant?
Right.
And so from that point, they were like, maybe this isn't the wisest way to tell a story. And the books will be, you know, a very rich addition to the ongoing audio stories.
Of course.
But that's just really interesting that someone could follow this ongoing storyline across that kind of medium. Mm-hmm. It makes me think of whether like a platform like Netflix would ever do that in terms of getting rid of a character, and the only way to find out what's happened to that character is to read, say, a book that comes out.
It's a bit like Time Lord Victorious coming soon from every licensee of the BBC, apart from the TV show, which is the only place most people want to see it done.
I want an episode told just with Bubble Bath.
Bubble Bath and a Give a Show projector. There's two very character-driven scenes, both set in a sort of date scenario over dinner. Now, the first one is with Jason and what's her name? This psychic, Myra, where they talk about the nature of killing and how it affects like soldiers versus an actual murderer versus repeat offenders, which is quite an interesting sort of theological debate. That just kind of starts things off, but it's also littered with humour, and that's when they talk about the gentrification. And the second one is a much more harrowing bit of his past, which is a conversation between Benny and him about his abusive father, which you wouldn't get that in the main range of Doctor Who, would you?
I listened to this many times when it came out, and the most interesting parallel that I never realised until I re-listened to it for this podcast was that the Jason describing the abuse that he had as a child, it's a mirror to his life being manipulated by Braxiatel.
Right.
So you've got these two kind of authoritarian male figures that are disrupting Jason's life. And so he kind of overcomes the issues of his childhood by going back and helping his sister.
Yeah.
And to then go and face Braxiatel. But then he isn't able to win, and it kind of kills him.
Yeah.
So it's quite a powerful mixing of, psychological character drama with, the conventions of Doctor Who. It's really it is this really odd kind of hinterland of what very inventive authors get up to, but still within, the universe of, a family adventure show.
Yeah, it is a very weird mix. It works. It definitely works, but it's kind of pulpy. It's 2000 AD.
Yeah. It's
Big Finish Doctor Who, but with like a kick up its ass, but not because it has to say fuck all the time like in Auton. But it has adult themes without sort of playing them over the top and being like, look how fucking edgy we are. We're making a grown-up Doctor Who play.
I forgot to mention that particular scene of Benny and Jason going on their first date and him talking about his childhood, that's a direct lift from Death and Diplomacy by Dave Stone.
Right. So
that's actually adapted from a very close similar scene in his first appearance in the Virgin New Adventures range.
Right. Wow. There's lots of little nods and things like that. One that I did notice was that Myra says about Jason, through the ruin of a restaurant walked the ruin of a man, which is similar to the opening of Terence Dicks's novelisation of Daleks Invasion Earth, where it goes, through the ruins of the city walked the ruins of a man. Just little, it's those are little things that really kind of excite my fan brain. Let's talk a little bit about the end.
Yes.
So Jason's killed by Benny's son.
Yes.
What's the deal? So you said that he's part what? Sorry,
He's part Kiloran,
okay.
and the Kilorans are the race that invade the planet in the Big Finish audio arrangements for war, where Evelyn falls in love.
Yeah, I know the one.
So yeah, he's half human, half kind of big dog wolf man.
Big dog wolf.
So he has the strength to kill another person.
Yeah.
And it's very bleak. So one of the last things that Jason says before he dies is, when you remember killing me, don't feel guilty, because he knows that he's not in control. And so Bernice is away for the duration of this play, which is in fact directed by Lisa Bowerman. So it gives her the chance to direct the story. So there's another story where Bernice is off-world, and then she returns to the Braxisel collection, finds out that Jason's dead, and puts on a funeral in the Bernice Summerfield story called The Wake.
Right.
And that's the finale to this series of Bernice Summerfield audios.
Yeah. And it's like Braxisell's excellent in it, but the scene's scored like it's in a Scorsese film like Casino or something like that. It's like it's got this classical music, this really grand classical music, but played really subtly underneath. And when you walk into that room, you're like, the moment that music starts playing, I was like, something really bad is going to happen here. Because it was all working, despite the harrowing things that he was sort of saying about his past, it was all working out a bit too well. And even though I felt something bad was going to happen, I was surprised that he was killed, and even more surprised to find out from you now that he never comes back, because people don't often stay dead in Doctor Who anymore. So I guess this was a time when they did. I
haven't finished the range, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't come back.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up after.
Well, we'll throw in a little clip of you right now saying whether he comes back or not. So right now, Jack's going to tell us whether he comes back.
Jason Kane does return to the Bernice Summerfield audios, but only in adventures set in the past.
The only other thing about it that I was struck by was the theme tune, which is like a 90s remix of like a 70s detective ITC serial.
Yes.
I thought that is classic Big Finish right there.
Well, that wasn't the regular Bernice Summerfield theme tune. That was made especially on the premise that this is Jason Kane taking over the story.
Yeah.
But they liked it so much that they just kind of used it as the usual theme tune after this.
Okay.
Did you like Stephen Fewell, who played Jason Kane?
Yeah, I thought it was the right sort of... I mean, it's very difficult to say without knowing the character fully. I'm sure it's the first time I've ever heard that character. But he sounds a bit useless, and I guess he's supposed to sound... I don't mean the actor. The actor was competent. But just a typical... It makes him sound like a typical guy, or plays him like a typical guy that's kind of bumbled through his life and shit just keeps going wrong. Like, he felt very much like an everyman, even in the middle of hell.
Stephen Fewell is still acting.
Really?
Last year, he was on stage with the Royal Shakespeare Company and starred in the Netflix series The King.
Ah, well, I'm glad he's doing well. He puts in a hell of a performance in this. I really enjoyed it, and it made me want to listen to the entire range, and then I looked and there was 4 million CDs, and I was like, I'm not fucking listening to this. If there's anybody, there must be someone out there that's done a best of guide to Bernice Summerfield that can make me go, right, you need to listen to 1, 7, 9, 52, and I'll just do that. But yeah, I can't. I haven't got that much time, even in lockdown, to listen to 15 series of Bernice Summerfield. So, do you think it's damn swank or fan wank?
I think it's damn swank.
I too think it's damn swank. I was very impressed, considering I'd never heard anything about it before. So that's the end of episode 3. My God, this is turning into a podcast and a half. Next time, we're going to be doing some Fifth Doctor stuff. What have you got in store for us with the comics?
We're going to be looking at 4-dimensional vistas
And for the audio play, we're going to be listening to Psychodrome, which is a big finish. It was in a special Fifth Doctor box set.
Ooh.
And it's the first one where they got Adric back. So it's Adric, Tegan, and Nyssa, the full gang back together. And I heard it once when it came out, and I remember really liking it. Whether or not that's still the case. With this podcast, we're trying to avoid some of, like, we're probably not going to do one on the Chimes of Midnight or Spare Parts or something like that. I think it's more interesting to do the ones that perhaps get reviewed when they come out and then nobody really talks about again. So that's why I picked that over one of the absolute bangers.
You're insane.
So until next time, Jack, that was Doctor Who, Too Hot for TV. Anything else you want to say?
Just goodbye.
Just goodbye. We'll see you next time.
Doctor Who. Too hot for TV.